This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane. This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hi, this is Cosmo Orion, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive breaking news, interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and CastBox. I'm your host, James J, flying solo for the moment being, but it's a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with Cosmo Orion.
Yes, sir, that's me.
How are you, Cosmo?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm good. Could you tell us what you got coming up?
So this Friday, September 30th, I have a round one match for Pro Wrestling Legacy's Tag Team Championships. It's to crown the first ever Tag Team Championships, and I'm going to be teaming with Jimo Kaminari. He's a great friend of mine. We've teamed before in the past, and this time we really think we can take it all the way to the finals and become the inaugural Pro Wrestling Legacy World Tag Team Champions.
Alright, and where can we find you on social media? And merchandise would you go?
On social media, I am on Twitter and on Instagram at the Cosmo Orion. And then I am also on YouTube. You can check on my YouTube channel. It's just Cosmo Orion. I upload full matches, highlight reels, and some promo packages.
Right, and all of that will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and CastBox for anybody that wants to click it after the interview. Alright,
Sounds good.
we are being joined by Scooter Dust.
Hello. Pleasure to meet you, Cosmo.
Nice to meet you as well.
Now, let's get into it. You work for Pro Wrestling Legacy. Can you tell us about your relationship with the company?
So I've been with the company since the very beginning, since day zero. Before there was a wrestling company, there was just a wrestling school. And so there were about a handful of people in the El Paso, Texas area that really wanted to start something different, because in El Paso, Texas, what you see mostly are lucha libre companies. Right. You don't typically see like American fashions or American style pro wrestling companies. And so that's what we wanted to start. That's what we wanted to kickstart in the El Paso area. And I believe it was in May of 2021, we had our first event under the banner of Pro Wrestling Zen. And Pro Wrestling Zen lasted for about, I want to say, 3 or 4 months until we had a change in management. And then when that change in management went into a big redesign, a big reboot of the company, what is now Pro Wrestling Legacy. And I've been with the company since, like day zero. I was one of the trainees way before there was ever a show. I was just attending their academy, and then I've been there ever since.
That's awesome. Scooter, you have a question.
Yes. How does one get appointed Galactic Ambassador?
So, as an astronaut myself, I take it upon myself to introduce pro wrestling not just to different parts of the world, but at different parts of the galaxy, at different parts of the universe. And so I am the pro wrestling ambassador for the Milky Way galaxy. So anything that has to do with pro wrestling, I would gladly represent it and share it with as many people as possible. And that's what makes me the galactic ambassador for pro wrestling.
No, continue, Scooter.
No, I was gonna make a crash joke like, how how long do you think it'll be until we get wrestling on Uranus? But that would be in very poor taste.
I mean, hopefully it's sooner rather than later. Because we're starting to make. I'm gonna say yeah. If I'll tell you what though, if we ever do have like a wrestling match outside of Earth, like let's say there's like a wrestling match on the Moon or on Mars, I'd be the first one on it for sure. I would gladly wrestle in outer space.
Well, obviously,
Nice.
if you wrestle on Mars, you would have to wrestle Matt Damon, obviously.
He can be special guest ref. I don't mind.
Now you mentioned, obviously, San Antonio is a big wrestling town.
Yes.
One of the biggest wrestlers of all time came from there. Um, obviously there's a lot of lucha libre, wrestling, but not a lot of, classic American wrestling. What
Right.
made you kind of sway more into that lane rather than, go with what was, accustomed in San Antonio?
And I think you mean El Paso. Did I say San Antonio?
Because for Legacies in San Antonio?
Pro Wrestling Legacy, we're based out of El Paso, Texas.
El Paso.
So we're way out west.
So,
but as far as like choosing to go the more American route, it was just a matter of bringing something fresh to the table. All the wrestling companies up to that point, they were lucha libre companies, and so if we were to start another lucha libre company, it would be hard to set ourselves apart from the rest, especially with well-established family names that were already out there. And so we wanted to do something more American fashion because the El Paso wrestling scene has never seen anything like it. Even the closest that it went to being more American style was still majority based in lucha libre style.
Right.
And so we knew that if we skewered more towards an American Western style pro wrestling product, we would get a whole lot of eyes on us. And we have. I think I'm not ashamed to say that we're the #1 pro wrestling company in El Paso.
It does seem like, for its short tenure, it has garnered a lot of attention.
Yes.
Alright. Super. You have a question.
Yes, there's a picture on your Instagram that I think has a very interesting story behind it. Can you tell us about the picture that has all the stuff around $8?
The $8?
Yes.
Okay, so it's lucha libre like tradition, or it's like a custom for the fans to tip money for a wrestling match they thought was really, really good. So you see it a whole lot down in Mexico, like in Big Lucha, down in the Mexico City. They have a lot. I've seen it happen in PWG over in Los Angeles, but it's a lucha libre tradition to get tipped for a really good match. And so actually my tag team partner, Jimo Kaminari, and I, we were in a #1 contenders singles match, and we just laid it all out on the line, one-on-one. We took each other to the limit, and it was the first time either of us had gotten tipped for an entire match. So even though it was $8, that's not the point of the post. The point is that we had a match that was so good that the people felt they needed to tip our match, and that's a huge honor for the both of us, especially this early on in our careers. It's an amazing honor.
Yep. I did know that, and that is why I asked. That is absolutely great, and I'm assuming not many people know about that. So it's something new here on.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we're trying to do as well. Bridging of culture, so bringing lucha libre customs over to an American style, while also showing a lucha libre fan base what American style pro wrestling can be. And so when you get that merger of cultures, that merger of wrestling styles, you get magic like that.
And it just gave me an idea. It seems like something like that is very well suited for the internet. If you can find somebody to design it, someone watches a match, they click a button, boom, you're tipped. I don't want to equate it with some of the typical industries that stuff is associated with,
Right.
but I think that's a tradition that should be applied across the entire independent scene at this point.
We could very well make it work, especially now with a lot of companies that are choosing to stream their events. Like I know DPW, I think they stream their events, and then Impact in the past they've streamed on Twitch,
Yes.
and so that idea of tipping matches that could be easily done with through like Twitch donations or chat donations. And so I think if we really embrace the concept, we can get it going, and it can just be like a big thing for professional wrestling, you know?
All right, James.
All right. Well, you was the Legacy World Champion, first ever World Champion, as well for around 6
That's right.
Can you tell us what, and it seems like having that title, you took it really seriously and kind of held yourself at a higher standard. Could you tell us
Yes.
about what it meant to you to win that title and the responsibility that you kind of put on yourself to hold that title?
So winning that title to me was a big honor, and it was also a sense of validation in my career. Because when I won that title, I think I'd only been wrestling for, I want to say like 9 months. So when I won the tournament and I won the title, it felt like a lot of pressure has been put on me. But at the same time, it was a big test to see just how good I can be at 9 or 10 months into my career. So I looked up to a lot of world champions, a lot of like honorable world champions like Bryan Danielson when he won the Ring of Honor world title, Kazuchika Okada when he won the IWGP World Heavyweight title, even Go Shiozaki when he won the GHC Heavyweight title. Like those title reigns defined the kind of champion that I wanted to be. So a champion that took any challenger, had the best match of the night, bar none, and then through each match elevated the status of that championship. So that's the challenge that I put on myself to give out the best matches possible. Because with good matches, you're elevating the status of the belt. You're elevating the status of your opponent. You're elevating the status of the promotion that's housing that match. And then at the same time, the people in the crowd, they're gonna get the word buzzing and they're gonna start sharing with everybody else. So I'm a firm believer that having great matches is necessary for growth in professional wrestling, whether it be as a company or as a community or as a scene, like as just an individual wrestler. If you push yourself to have great matches, it will only benefit yourself in the long run. And so that's the challenge that I've set upon myself. And I want to say that I've led by example thus far, because now that I don't have the championship, I still see people in the back or other wrestlers try and have that match of the night status. So I like to believe that's the legacy that I have with that championship. And then also, I guess, the fact that the PWL world title is the most prestigious world title in independent El Paso wrestling.
Right, and I mean, your name will be the first name people see when looking back on that title. How does that kind of make you feel?
It's almost surreal because before I started wrestling, I'd kind of set goals for myself, right? And so one of those goals was to be the first ever champion of whatever it may be. I could have been the first ever tag champion. I could have been the first ever Lone Star champion. But I never thought that this early in my career, I'd be the first ever world champion of anything. And so for me to achieve something like that so early in my career, at the time I was 19 years old, it's surreal. And it's just going to keep pushing me to do bigger and better things, for sure.
That's awesome. And I mean, achieving that success at 19, and it seemed like you really, like, you were ready for it.
Yeah.
Alright, and Scooter, you have a follow-up question, pertaining to the title.
Yes. Let's address the elephant in the room, or maybe I should say eagle. PWL's title is unique and recognizable at the same time because it bears a similarity to a certain company's certain company's previous iterations of their world championship.
Yes, sir.
How many times have fans who may have not been in the know seen it and asked you, "Hey, where did you get the WWE Winged Eagle Championship?"
To tell you the absolute truth, not that many fans like compare it to the WWF title. The only times I've had comments about the championship belt were just complimenting how good it looks. Obviously, I feel like it's playing to the nostalgia a little bit because it's eerily reminiscent, almost plagiarizing the 1992 WWF title, and that I mean that wasn't a decision of mine. That was a management decision. But I think it's almost poetic because we were all everybody that helped form Pro Wrestling Legacy. We were all brought together by '90s professional wrestling, whether it was ECW, WWF, WCW, All Japan Pro. So we all kind of came together under this love of '90s professional wrestling, and I guess it was just symbolized as the 1990s WWF title. But as far as like fans telling me that it looks like the Winged Eagle belt, I personally haven't gotten any of those comments. But I mean, it is very obvious. You can't really hide that.
All right.
Alright, could you tell us about your match against El Dragon in a winner-takes-all double title match?
Yes. So El Dragon at that time, I think still he is the world champion for another indie company here in El Paso called Lucha Frontera. And at the time, I was the PWL world champion. And we were supposed to headline a pay-per-view event called Collateral Damage, where it was going to be winner takes all, world title versus world title. And up until that point, El Dragon was and probably still is the most insanely athletic, naturally gifted, and way more experienced wrestler than I am. Like, I have no shame in saying that he is, bar none, the better wrestler between the two of us. But I knew that if I went into that championship match and gave it my best, I would improve, for sure. I believe that even if I lost that championship match, El Dragon would have pushed me to some limit that I didn't even know I had within me and made myself a much better wrestler because of that. So, win, lose, or draw, I was going to come out the better wrestler. However, there was another wrestler called Aiden Colt that came in and completely trashed that championship match. He ran interference, and because of that, the match went down to a no contest. So whatever hopes I had in improving my wrestling ability were trashed by Aiden Colt.
How dare he? Just how dare he?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, but before obviously that happened, obviously being in there with El Dragon, what was that experience like?
It's almost like being in the Colosseum, like in that Roman Colosseum. You're in there with the lion, and you know that you might not walk out the same as when you walked in, but the gate behind you is already shut. There's no running. There's only confronting the beast that's right in front of you. And so, win, lose, or draw, I just had to give it my all. I had to fight like my life was on the line. And for, I think it was 10, 15 minutes that I was in there with the Dragon, it was an absolute test of what I could really do.
And what did you learn about yourself, and where you are kind of on the wrestling spectrum, being in there with somebody so seasoned, a seasoned veteran, obviously a big name in pro wrestling like him?
So what I've learned is that being from El Paso and especially being between these two worlds of American wrestling and Mexican lucha libre, my wrestling style is very like best of both worlds. And surprisingly, I was able to adapt to a lot of different situations that he put me in, either transitioning more to a lucha style or transitioning more to an American based style. And then what I also learned from wrestling him is that when it really comes down to the wire, I'm surprisingly a lot more willing to take risks, because I think that was the first time in a match that I ever gone to the top rope and attempted an elbow drop, and I landed it fine, but I don't think I'd ever done that before, ever. So he really brought some sort of daredevil out of me that I didn't even know I had.
Alright. I'm just thinking about, El Dragon Cosmo Orion 2, and when that's gonna happen.
I'm thinking the exact same thing, because that first match, it did not go to a clear decision, and so I know El Dragon is off doing his own thing, I'm off doing my own thing, but whenever our roads collide again, I really hope that we can go down to the wire and then we can finally have a clear winner.
Oh, for sure. Oh, Sudo, you have a question.
Yes. Now there is a piece of artwork that fans did for you, and James and I were talking about this, and I don't think that's all balloon. I think it's half balloon. James thinks it's all balloon. Tell us about that piece of artwork.
So that, I'm assuming you're referring to like the balloon version of me?
Yeah.
Yes.
That is 100% all balloon.
Oh, I was wrong.
At our PWL shows, we have a balloon artist. Her name is Madison, and she is probably the most gifted balloon artist I've ever seen in my life. She makes balloon figurines of all the roster members on PWL, and she is incredibly talented. So yeah, that is all like balloon.
That's really cool. That is awesome.
Yes. Absolutely.
Maybe not so awesome, but you could tell us, maybe you tell us differently. Can you tell us about your rivalry with Marty Snow?
Our rivalry, it goes back to like the very beginning of, like even before Pro Wrestling Legacy. It goes back to the roots of Pro Wrestling Legacy and Pro Wrestling Zen. So I don't understand what Marty's deal is. I think he has just some sort of vendetta against management because he wasn't picked for the scholarship for the academy. I don't know what his deal is, but the way he went about expressing his anger was completely wrong. I disagree with it absolutely 100%. I don't care how bad life has screwed you over. I don't think you have the right to take it out on other people. So that's what he started doing. He's aggressive, violent, and sadistic, and he's taking it out on these people that had nothing to do with how screwed up his opportunities were. And so somebody had to take it, somebody had to address him face to face, and it was me. And so the first match that we ever had, I pinned him 1, 2, 3. And I did have some help, but I think at the end of the day, the fact that somebody pinned Marty Snow rubbed him the wrong way. And so immediately he asked for a rematch. Immediately. And so our second match, we brought the piss out of each other. Very early on in both of our careers, we beat each other to a pulp. But that decision went to a time limit draw. So we needed to have a third match. And that match, I believe Marty knocked me out and he won. And so after that, we kind of went our own separate ways. Until we met again in the finals of the PWL World Championship Tournament, almost as if fate made us wrestle again one more time to see who really was the best out of the both of us. And I really took it upon myself to beat Marty Snow, because had Marty Snow won that championship, God knows what kind of chaos would have been in PWL. Somebody needed to bring that championship to a level of prestige and honor that I knew Marty Snow would not uphold it to. If Marty would have been champion, I don't know, like there would have been violence all over the streets, man. So I had to take it upon myself to win that championship to make sure that he did not hold it, not even for a second. And so our match for the PWL World Title from earlier this year, I think it was in January, we beat each other for I think 30 minutes straight, and I finally won against Marty Snow. And I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but a lot of the fans were saying that was an early pick for match of the year.
What do you think it's about your rivalry with Marty that just, it brings out the best in both of you?
I think if I had to narrow it down to one thing, it's that we're both young and hungry. We both have an entire career ahead of us, but we want the glory like now. We want to be able to be the best in our respective promotion, being PWL, but at the same time the best in the city. So I'm sure you've heard the phrase that iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
So that's what Marty and I have right now. The both of us are constantly getting better at being pro wrestlers. Both of us are constantly improving on our craft, so then when we meet each other, it just sharpens us even more. So we're both young. We both want the glory of pro wrestling so bad, but the thing is, Marty is going a more violent way, and I'm taking it a more positive and unified way. So although we have our differences in philosophies, I think our work ethic is exactly the same, and that's why it brings out the best in us every time we wrestle.
And absolutely, and obviously that's one of the reasons both of you are two of the four pillars of El Paso wrestling. Um, could you tell us what it kind of means to you to be one of those pillars and the other two pillars, El, um, uh, Guillermo and El Rinco? I might be pronouncing.
Yeah. So the four pillars. The four pillars are me, Marty Snow, Jimo Kaminari, and Norinco. And so I think what makes us the pillars that we are is not only the fact that we're all incredibly young. I think the oldest member in that of the pillars is 21 years old.
Wow.
And what makes us the pillars is that we all started basically at the same time. We all started when pro wrestling in El Paso was kind of almost non-existent to ignorable, and we put in the work to make it so incredible and so like undeniable within El Paso. And we were the ones that put El Paso wrestling almost on our shoulders in those early dark periods. And what makes us pillars is that the fact that we are, although we're young, we carry ourselves as if we've been in the wrestling business for like a while. Like obviously we're still naive kids, but we treat the wrestling business with respect, and we all want to see wrestling grow and flourish within El Paso and like the whole world, honestly. But it's the dedication that we put to El Paso wrestling specifically that I think resonates with a lot of people.
Alright, Skittle, you have a question.
Now, you say you attribute your inspiration to a lot of 90s wrestling, but there are two particular influences you have from the 80s. Can you tell us how much the series of matches that Dynamite Kid and Tiger Kid had, how much they influenced your in-ring performance?
So I want to say I grew up mostly on like cruiserweight wrestling or junior heavyweight wrestling. So guys like Rey Mysterio, guys like John Morrison, guys like the Motor City Machine Guns and AJ Styles, those are all wrestlers that I gravitated towards growing up as a wrestling fan. And all of those guys were essentially influenced by the series of matches that Dynamite Kid and the original Tiger Mask. Yeah,
Tiger Mask.
Satoru Sayama had.
I said Tiger Kid by accident.
No, you're fine. But it's because like the thing that Dynamite Kid and Tiger Mask did was they completely revolutionized what wrestling was. If you go back into like the 80s or even the 70s and you watch wrestling from like the Giant Baba or Antonio Inoki, it's very kind of like, or even like Luthez, it's very like I don't want to say it's basic, but it's very like one to one. Yeah, catch as catch can wrestling. Yeah. And so when Tiger Mask came along, he kind of like blew everything out of the water. like obviously there was Mexican Lucha Libre in the 70s that was kind of doing the same things, but I don't think they were doing it at the speed and accuracy as Satoru Sayama was doing it in the 70s. And so when he came out and had these beautiful series of matches with Dynamite Kid, it was surreal. Like they were pushing the boundaries of what wrestling could be, and they were moving pro wrestling forward, and they were progressing it faster than anybody thought it could ever happen. Because even if you watch them now, like their series of matches, they still hold up, and they're doing some of the most crazy and just like absolutely mind blowing series of pro wrestling that I've ever seen in my life. And so like all that style of match influenced all these other wrestlers that happen to influence a whole other generation of wrestlers that have influenced myself. So yeah, those two are like actually legitimately goats of wrestling.
All right.
Can you tell us about the vertical suplex into a powerbomb?
So the vertical suplex into a powerbomb, I've only hit that move once against Stephon Prince.
Yeah.
I think that was back in February. And that move is also traces its way back all the way to 90s pro wrestling. So that move came from Kenta Kobashi. I think he called it the Orange Crush at the time. But yeah, it was a suplex lift into a powerbomb drop. And that would always that's such a devastating move. And I happened to catch formerly Jay Wilson, now Stephon Prince, in that move, and I felt that I needed to do something quick to end the match, and I just popped him over into that powerbomb, and it ended the match.
Well, I mean, it looked pretty nasty. It looked like you killed the guy. So, what did you ever consider making that a part of your arsenal as a finish?
I definitely have, but the problem, honestly, is like everybody that I wrestle is either my size or bigger than me. And so realistically, even if I wanted to, I couldn't hold them up for a suplex into a powerbomb. I just don't have that kind of strength. And so that's why I often opt for the Voyager 1 cutter, because it can get anybody of all shapes and sizes.
Right.
As far as that powerbomb, I would like to keep using it, but it's been so long since I've used it, I'd have to perfect the technique a little more before I can whip it out again.
Okay. I mean, even if somebody your same size, if you just kind of, or even that bigger, and you go for that vertical suplex, then I don't think a lot of people would expect you to power bomb them, and that could be a really great way to end the match. As in the back of your pocket type of move.
Right. That's true. Well, I'll have to see. I think I have to just keep getting stronger, keep working on my weight training to get more people up into that vertical suplex. And then if I can hit somebody with my size, I'll see if I can do it to someone a little bit bigger than me. But yeah, I'll always have that in the back of my head.
Dude, if Cheeseburger could lift one of the Viking Raiders, I'm sure that you could lift somebody bigger than you.
I guess there's only one way to find out, huh?
Yeah. Alright, Scooter, you have a question.
Yeah, let's something simple or maybe I don't know. Can you tell us about the captain's vlog and if it's ever going to make a return?
Absolutely. It's something that I'm working on right now. I just have to kind of see what the message I want to get across is, because the captain's vlog, I know it seems just like an ordinary promo, but in reality it's how I feel. So like this is like pro wrestling is everything that I've ever wanted to do. And so I felt like I am growing not just as a wrestler but as a person. And I want to document that through these like captain's vlogs. And a lot of my recent captain's vlogs have been about Aiden, because Aiden really came in and kind of threw everything out of the loop. And after I failed to regain my championship match against Aiden Colt, I kind of laid off the captain's log for a bit. But now that I'm getting more opportunities outside El Paso and I have all these doors opening, there's definitely room for me to start making another captain's vlog. I just don't know what it's going to be about yet. It's like one of those things where you can't force it. It just has to come. It has to come naturally, like organically. But it will make a return for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, it's about the journey into where man has never gone before.
Exactly.
And speaking of where no man has gone before, you have a 2022 list. Uh,
Yes.
can you tell us about that list?
So I want to say Cody Rhodes was the first one that made the list.
Yeah.
So when Cody Rhodes left WWE, he made an entire checklist of everything he wanted to do outside of the world of pro wrestling. And either by intent, I don't know if it was by design or just by accident, but he started an entire trend of pro wrestlers who was just starting lists. And I've seen it firsthand. And I want to say that pro wrestling is it's an ask and you shall receive business. So if you put it out into the universe, if you just ask for a match, there's a possibility that they will give it to you. And so for my 2022 list, it is like my list, but it's also a set of goals that I want to achieve before the end of the year. And a lot of these, a lot of these opponents that I have written down, I've already crossed some of them off. I've had great matches with them. Obviously, the number one on the list was winning the Pro Wrestling Legacy World Title.
Yes.
And then some of the companies at the bottom of the list were companies that I want to debut on before the end of the year. And it's just a matter of where I think I can go within a short amount of time, and then it also forces me to keep that hustle throughout the entire year. So, like for example, I have Nick Wayne on my 2022 list.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to wrestle Nick Wayne, I really have to get that hustle in. Like right now it's September 28th. I have about 2 or 3 months left in the year to try and make that a possibility. And I'm going to work my ass off to get a match with Nick Wayne. It can be a singles match, a tag match. It can be like a 6-man tag or whatever, so long as I have a match with Nick Wayne by the end of the year. So that's what the list is about. It's about showing how far I've gone, and then also it's a motivator for me to keep it going, keep the hustle going.
Oh, absolutely. And what about the other names on that list? Chris Carter, Max Heights, Chandler Hopkins, Jordan Oliver.
So these guys, specifically Chris Carter, Max Heights, and Chandler Hopkins, these are all wrestlers from Texas, but they're from East Texas. And so one of my goals for 2022 was to break out of El Paso and start wrestling outside the city into other wrestling territories. So the biggest wrestling city in Texas is Houston. And Chris Carter wrestles in Houston, Max Heights wrestles in Houston. And so I figured that if I could work my way over to Houston, I could have matches with these guys. Because these guys, they're incredible pro wrestlers, and stylistically, they're very similar to me. And so I feel like if I were to wrestle any of these guys, we could put on an incredibly good match. And the one way I could possibly get a match with these guys is if I go and work my way over to Houston. And so these guys, they're like household, I don't want to say household names, but they're like solidified stars, and they've cemented their names in the Houston indie wrestling scene. And so I want to go and I want to see what they're all about.
And that brings us to some of the promotions you wanted to check out in 2022 as well. New Texas Pro, Local Wrestling, Reality of Wrestling, and Uncharted Territory.
That's right. Uncharted Territory, that's, I think right now they're based in like Massachusetts, so they're in the northeast of the United States. It's still on my list, but compared to the other ones, it's a far, like, it'll probably take me a lot longer to achieve that goal than the rest. But as far as New Texas Pro and local wrestling, I'm willing to bet money, well, not money, but like I'm willing to bet on myself that I can still make those debuts a reality before the end of the year. And again, just like so Houston is the number one city in Texas for indie wrestling because of New Texas Pro and Local Wrestling. What Local Wrestling and New Texas Pro have done for the indie scene has been incredible in just a span of like a year or a year and a half. So Local Wrestling alone, they produce stars like Dante Leone and Ninja Mac, and I think New Texas Pro has produced Mysterious Q and Brian Keith and Gino Medina. So these are like cornerstones of Houston indie wrestling. And so many names have come and cemented their names in those companies and gone on to do bigger and greater things. Like Roxanne Perez, she from NXT, she started in New Texas Pro or Local Wrestling, or she made her name in those companies. And so I, as an indie Texas wrestler, want to go to those companies and cement my own legacy and cement my own name, because I believe if I want to go to bigger stages, I have to go through Local or go through New Texas Pro first.
And then the last thing on that list was PWI 500.
Yeah, so I think the PWI came out already, and I didn't get the issue, but I'm pretty sure I'm not one of the 500. But it's probably because I'm 501 and it just didn't count me. But yeah, the PWI 500, I know it's like cheesy to say that I want to be on the list, but I mean, I really do. I just can't hide the fact that being on that list would mean a lot to me, because it's a form of validation, in my opinion. It doesn't matter what number I am. What matters to me is that I'm on the list and I'm acknowledged and recognized as a legitimate indie wrestler. Because up until this point, it still kind of feels surreal that I'm an independent pro wrestler and I'm living this dream, and I'm living this lifestyle I've been daydreaming about since I was like in middle school. And so it still feels surreal to me that I'm a pro wrestler, and I feel like being on the PWI 500 would really like validate and solidify the fact that I am living this dream life of mine.
Now, obviously, like you said, any of the any of those wrestlers performing for any of those promotions, it could happen in the next few months. All of that could happen in the next, before the year's out. But something like PWI, it only comes out once a year. So obviously you're not on the list this year. What's your mindset going into next year, knowing that you have to wait another full calendar year to see if you're going to make that list?
The wait, honestly, is not an issue. I think the issue, in my opinion, is what can I do within a 1 year time frame to one up the year I had before. So I think PWI runs from like summer of 1 year to the summer of the next year. I think it's like from June 2021 to June 2022.
Usually
and
August,
so
but now it's September apparently.
September.
It's
Okay.
August. It's August to August. End of August to. It's. God, I want to say. Yeah, let's meet in the middle and say Labor Day to Labor Day.
Gotcha.
There you go.
So my strategy going forward into 2023 isn't like, I gotta wait a full year. It's what can I do within another, like, these next 365 days to have a better year than I did this year or last year. And so the part that I love about being a pro wrestler is that I get to choose how hard I go, right? So like I could just as easily take it easy for the rest of the year, but I choose not to because I have such high ambitions and goals within pro wrestling, and then I have a high expectation within myself to achieve those goals. So when I see the PWI 500 and I see that I'm not on it, it's more of a challenge to get myself to a higher level within 365 days to make sure that I get on the list, or at the very least get closer to being on the list than I was last year. So being a pro wrestler, it's all about progress. And it doesn't matter how small the increments of progress are, so long as you're advancing, you're still progressing. And that's what I'm all about.
I love that. That's awesome. Alright, Scooter, you have a question.
Yes, now we'll bring it back to something simple. What is your favorite space-themed movie and/or TV show?
Ooh, so the whole game changed when you said TV show. So I am a huge Doctor Who fan.
Yeah.
I like Star Wars is okay. Star Trek has way too many spin-offs. I want to watch Star Trek, but it's like I don't know where to start. But Doctor Who, I've been watching Doctor Who since I was, I think maybe like 12 years old, and I wanted to watch like the new episodes as they were coming out, but just I didn't have the BBC channel on my television or on my cable, so I wasn't able to until recently when they started putting all the episodes on Netflix, and I
now,
just binged. I binged it all.
and now they're on HBO Max.
That's true.
So, favorite Doctor?
Oh, Capaldi, easy.
Okay. A lot of people love Capaldi. I'm a Tennant man.
That's understandable. That's respectable.
Only because of that heartbreaking last line.
That's true.
But I don't want to go.
I will say this though, like Capaldi, he had some incredible moments. Like the
Yes.
whole anti-war speech, that was gorgeous. I love that.
No, I think
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
I think I'm a David Tennant guy too. I like Matt Smith, but since Matt Smith hasn't been the Doctor, I really haven't liked his movies, so I kind of pushed them down on my list a little
Or
bit.
House of the Dragon.
Huh?
Or House of the Dragon neither.
Yeah. There's a lot of reasons, but like David Tennant, great Doctor.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah. No, and I think you might like our next segment of the show. You're a wrestler that goes up the roads and weird, crazy, bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits our description?
A story where of unpredictable adventure and mishaps.
More or less,
Let's
yeah.
see.
A weird, crazy, bizarre thing that's happened on the road. It doesn't necessarily need to involve the road. It's just something interesting.
I can talk about the time myself and a carload of wrestling guys from a carload of legacy guys. We almost crashed on the highway. I could talk about that.
Ooh, me too.
So it was in April, I think, and it was a carload of guys, like 5 wrestlers in one truck, and we were driving all the way to Vegas to wrestle for the Delgado Promotions. And as we were like entering like city limits, the lanes, they just, I don't know what happened to the lanes, but they merged or they disappeared or something happened, and it was at a point where one of the lanes that was merging had to merge into our lane, and there was a big 18-wheeler merging into our lane, and we had to move lanes quick, otherwise like the 18-wheeler wouldn't, like it had to like take the exit or something. So the 18-wheeler like had to move over, and so I mean that we had to move over as well. But on the other side where we had to move over, there was another 18-wheeler. So we were sandwiched in between these 2 trailers, and we just had like, there was, I don't know how, I honestly do not know how we made it out of that alive, but like it felt like the walls were closing in on us, like some sort of like Indiana Jones death trap in these 2 18-wheelers. And like I heard somebody in the car scream. It might have been me. It might have not been me. I don't know. But somebody screamed really loud, and for some reason, I don't know how, but like we managed to escape both 18-wheelers at the same time. So we almost died going into Las Vegas, but we didn't. And I live now to tell the tale.
That's an awesome story. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Of course, that's why we don't drive anymore. We just take flights.
That's a good reason. Alright, I may have looked into this way too much, but maybe not. Could you tell us about your love of Attack on Titan?
Wow. Okay. How'd you know I love Attack on Titan?
I cannot reveal my sources.
Okay. Yeah. I love Attack on Titan, man. Uh, I will like. I think I only watch wrestling and anime in my spare time. I don't watch any movies. As long like if it's not Doctor Who, I don't watch television shows. Like I only watch wrestling and anime. And the first anime I really got into was Attack on Titan. Back when it was premiering in like 2013,
What,
I
2013,
binged Attack on
2012?
Titan so bad. Like Attack on Titan was my introduction to anime and like Japanese animation, Japanese arts and cultures and all that. So like it was just one like everything all the entertainment that I love to this day, it all started because of Attack on Titan. And that's great, but it's also because Attack on Titan is legitimately like I'll say it. I don't care who gets mad. Attack on Titan is the best television show of all time. Like I'll say that.
Well, you're talking to a Hunter x Hunter fan, you know. Oh,
Hunter x Hunter's all right. You know what? But like the Chimera Ant arc, that was way too long. I did not like how long that was.
yes, at the beginning it was way too long, but once Miriam came into the fold, that whole arc was life changing for me. It was one personally the greatest anime arc of any anime of all time.
I don't know, man. I like the York New arc. I think that was a lot better, personally speaking.
No, that's fair. I mean the Phantom Troop are really cool.
Well, they're the best. They're like Bullet Club, but Bullet Club was like super cool.
Bullet Club at the beginning of Bullet Club. But what's
Yeah,
your
but they're
favorite arc?
sick.
What's your favorite arc of Attack on Titan?
I want to say I don't know what the name of the arc was, but it was. I want to say it's season two, and it's literally for one moment, and it's the moment that defines season two, and that's the Reiner and Bertolt reveal at the top of the wall, dude. That is anime history,
Oh
and
yeah.
like legit. The first time I saw that scene, like my jaw hit the floor. I could not believe what I was watching. Like it was the best scene, not just like anime scene or animated television series scene, but like that was pure cinema. That is pure cinema, and like everything came together at the exact same time. It was like if God Himself animated a scene of anime, and it was that scene. The music was great. The sound effects were amazing. The voice acting was incredible. The visuals were great. Everything was, oh my god, dude, 10 out of 10.
No, I do remember that, and it was yeah, it was definitely one of those moments like you did not see that coming. But maybe you kind of saw it coming because Annie was the female Titan, and she almost killed half the country.
That's true. Like I will say, like it was pretty predictable, but even then, just watching it all unfold, it was incredible. It's like Hogan slamming Andre the Giant. Like everybody remembers where they were in that space and time when they saw Bertolt and Reiner reveal themselves. Like it was a legitimate history maker.
Well, that does beg the question. How do you feel about, obviously Aaron turning heel and the last season?
You know what? If you had asked me at the beginning of like season four how I felt about Aaron's heel turn, like I would have not given like a single crap. I would have been like, "Listen, man, I've been on Aaron's side since day one. I'm still with Aaron. I'm a Jaegerist all the way." But I think like the note that they left off on, like right as the rumbling was starting, I don't know, man. I'm not liking what Aaron's doing. I don't understand why he's so like why he has all this tunnel vision towards his goal. I don't think it's necessary, but
Right.
I'm not liking it, man. I think I'm on the fence now, officially.
No, I feel the same way. I still can't get behind Zeke as a good guy. Because, obviously, what he did to Levi and the captain, I was way against that. So, the guys that we were rooting against, now we have to root for, and the guys we were rooting for, we have to root against.
That's the thing about Attack on Titan is that like there are no like good guys and bad guys. The morality on the show is very gray, and so everybody makes good points, but everybody makes like bad decisions as well. So you kind of have to pick and choose who is less evil or who is more good, because there is no clear good guy or bad guy. And I think that's an important thing to have in your show because it reflects the realities of life. Because people aren't like good guys or bad guys. People have that gray area, and so a lot of the times you're going to meet people that are like they're good Samaritans, but they're kind of like assholes. So you really have to decide how or like where you align yourselves with these people. So I think it's a good thing. It's a good problem to have, honestly.
No, you're absolutely right. It does kind of seem like it's we're giving you the facts. You choose who you want to be, who side you want to be on.
Exactly.
All right. Scooter, you can wake up now. That you know. And
What? What? Huh? What?
yeah, he has no idea what we're talking about. He's nothing anime.
Hey,
um,
the only anime I know is Hitalia, Crayon
Hitalia?
Hitalia,
Bro, I haven't heard that name in like years.
which is saying something because I'm at least one full adult older than you. But yes, Hitalia, first edition Hitalia, then Hitalia World Series, especially when is it Japan asks Italy if he wants to see his butt. He said, "Oh, butts! You told me butts were the international unit of friendship." Oh, that and of course, in the mid '90s, Speed Racer. Uh, People forget that that's anime as well. So, while I am not well versed in anime, and Crayon Shinchan.
Man, you're like all over the place with these animes.
Yeah, I am. Basically, I saw I used a certain download service to get Hitalia, but I saw Shin-Chan through Cartoon Network and Adult Swim, and to this day I can still do the manly trust into the Brotherhood of Men, and I'm not gonna sing it. But yes,
You don't have to. It's fine.
yeah, that is my anime education, unfortunately.
but you do have a colossal question, no?
Yes, I do. Now, let's say they are making a Cosmo Orion wrestling career movie, and it's gonna be a huge blockbuster. And of course, every blockbuster movie has a blockbuster soundtrack.
Yes.
What would be 3 to 5 songs on the soundtrack to the Cosmo Orion wrestling career movie?
I mean, do you want me to state like the obvious? Because like they're all going to be off the Interstellar soundtrack.
I mean, you could just say a track of Matthew McConaughey going, all right, oh yeah, space travel, and we'd accept that. But yeah, if you want to go into we appreciate it if you go into specifics. Yeah.
So, guys, because I'll tell you what, Hans Zimmer is such a great composer.
Yes.
I unironically just listen to movie soundtracks of his because they're so incredible. If I had to pick 5 songs to be on the Cosmo Orion the movie OST, I'm definitely gonna go with Mountains from Hans Zimmer. I like that build up, and I like that it's kind of an homage to the classical song Hall of the Mountain King, where it just progressively gets faster and faster. I really like that. I'd also probably go with the Cornfield Chase from Interstellar as well. I like how nice and just calm it is. It also has a sense of optimism to it. So I definitely go with that. I'd probably gonna go with an Attack on Titan song too, because obviously
I mean, which one? They're all dynamite.
they're all dynamite, bro. Sawano's the GOAT. I swear to God. Probably Ape Titan, because the Ape Titan theme song that goes incredibly hard.
Yeah.
So see, that's 3. I'll go with. Let me see what else I've got on here on my. Oh, okay. So I have a playlist of just a bunch of movie soundtracks, but I wanna put a song from Elden Ring. Specifically, I want to choose Godric the Grafted's theme song because I've never heard a song so beautifully terrifying in my life until I've heard that song. I don't even know where in the movie it would go, but I just want to have that song in there somewhere. And then the 5th and final song, if it's for the Cosmo Orion movie, I don't think it could be anything else other than a classic 1990s Eurobeat song. And I'm gonna go with Running in the 90s because that's a classic.
Wow, that is probably our most diverse 5 songs ever.
And that's my music taste for you, man. It's all over the place.
No, I dig it. I love it. You got some solid picks there. Do you lock it in?
You know what? No, not yet. I'm going to change Godric the Grafted's theme song, and I'm going to move that out in exchange for Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears, because that is legitimately the greatest song ever made, ever composed. That is all of humanity. In the history of humanity, there's never been a song better than that song.
So Kurt Smith is the one in charge of the musical face of the soundtrack. Essentially, is kind of what you're saying. All right.
Hell yeah.
Do you lock that in?
Absolutely. So we have 2 Hans Zimmer songs, a Sawano song, Tears for Fears, and Eurobeat. That's Cosmo Orion in a nutshell.
I dig it. Alright, part 2, Studo.
All right. Okay. Now, we might do this a little backwards, but who cares? Of course, there has to be a blockbuster actor playing the role of Cosmo Orion, and unfortunately,
right.
you cannot say yourself because you are reserved for a cameo as somebody in your life who did something or other. You know how Stan Lee would always make cameos.
I was about to say my Stan Lee cameo.
Exactly. So who would play Cosmo Orion, and who would play a couple of other supporting characters? Let's say Elder Goan, Marty Snow. James, you want to throw one more in there?
Yeah, Guillermo.
Guillermo, yeah.
All right. So I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing to admit that I've thought about this question before, And
We all have.
so the only person I'd want to play me in a movie, whether they're like an A-list blockbuster actor or not, is John Morrison. I will accept no other actors for the role of Cosmo Orion other than John Morrison himself.
Johnny Cosmo.
Yeah, Johnny Orion. And then for Marty Snow, oh man, you know what? I don't even know what his name is. I'm gonna have to look him up. But it's the actor that played Jon Snow in Game of Thrones.
Kit Harington.
Kit Harington. Jinx.
There you go. So we're gonna put him as Marty Snow, just to spite him.
So
And for
I'd like you to say
Gmo,
Al Snow.
Al Snow. Nah,
just to take the piss out.
nah, he's not that good of an actor.
Ah!
And then for Gmo, let's go with Ryan Reynolds because everybody loves Ryan Reynolds and everybody loves Gmo.
Oh, it's too bad you're not Canadian.
And also just to throw it in there, BB Beast Boy from Legacy. I'm gonna put him in the movie, and he's gonna be played by let's go with Chris Bumstead.
Alright. This sounds like a Dynamite movie. John Morrison.
I'd be surprised if it doesn't sell out, man.
John Morrison, Kit Harington, Ryan Reynolds. I mean, you're taking my money. Alright. Now on to another subject. Can you tell us about your hate of cheese?
How do you know this? How do you know this about me? No, like I'm serious.
I promise, we're not from the feds.
I don't know, man. I'll have to look into that one.
We're not from the feds. We just know what you hate being fed.
That's a great segue. Like I'll stop the entire podcast to give you props for that segue.
Thank you. I'll be here all week. Be sure to tip the veal and try your waitress.
But honestly, it's like cheese is gross. I don't know what else to say. Like if it's like cheese by itself, eating it is very gross, and then like it stinks up your breath, and then it doesn't taste good, and it's like solid milk. It's gross. It's disgusting. Only if it's accompanied by another food, like if it's like cheese on a burger, on a sandwich, like is it acceptable to be like eaten? But cheese by itself, I think it's disgusting. And I don't understand like charcuterie boards where it's just like blocks of cheese with a toothpick on it and maybe like grapes on the side. Like that's the most disgusting combination of flavors I've ever seen. I don't understand why these rich people insist on having that at their parties. Like it just shows you how gross their taste is. So yeah, cheese is gross.
Well, I mean, that's what rich people do. They eat the garbage parts of the food.
Good for them.
That brings us into an even more controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Nah. I hate. Like, I'm not gonna debate on whether it should or should not be on pizza. Like, we can throw pineapple on whatever. Like, you can throw pineapple on a lasagna. Like, I honestly don't care. But what makes food is the combination of flavors. So when you throw pineapple, like a very sweet fruit, onto a pizza that has like oregano spice, tomato sauce, cheese, and like ham, that combination of flavors does not mix. The pineapple itself is ruining the integrity of the flavor of the pizza. So if you just remove the pineapple, it'd be a good pizza. But these people insist on throwing pineapples on there and throwing this element of sweetness onto this already like on this like bread with cheese and spices. Like it doesn't make any sense. So no pineapple on no pizza.
Alright. What's your spirit Pokemon?
My spirit Pokemon?
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like it changed. Like, if you asked me this like 3 years ago, I would have said like Munchlax or something. But
I love Munchlax.
And then like the cliche is like halucha. It's like that's kind of a given. I feel like I can do better than halucha. I'm gonna go with Mankey.
Oh, sweet. Thank Yeah,
I have no explanation for that. It's just Mankey. It's a monkey, you know. It's like monkeys are great.
No, I dig it. I don't think we've ever had Nike said yet.
Nope.
And that brings us to the next question. The weirdest question you'll ever be asked during a wrestling interview. Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, Scooter,
Not the country.
an actual Rock.
And rocks?
A Rock. Like a small boulder.
Would I ever wrestle on a rock?
No, against the Rock.
Against a rock?
Yes.
Well, how big is the rock?
Let's say like your typical walkway lining rock.
Okay. All right, and is it like a regular singles match, like one fall to a finish?
Yes. We'll get to that in a moment, but let's say yes.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, yeah. If I'm wrestling in an inanimate object, it'll be so easy to pin it, and then just put another win in my win column, and just.
I mean, this Rock is the world champion. And that being said, for context, there's this wrestler named Psycho Mike that wrestled an actual Rock for over 15 minutes in what was dubbed a Tungsten Man match, an Iron Man match that lasted for 2 weeks.
Is this real?
Yes, 100%.
Well, listen, if he could do it, then so can I. And I can probably go a lot further with this rock. I could probably bring this rock. I could carry this rock, in my humble opinion, to at least a 3.5-star match. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, maybe you'll do better than he did because he didn't win the match.
I probably could.
And we love Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for THUG? THUG.
Oh man, I want to say I did, but I forgot, honestly. So no.
Scooter?
T is for terrible. H is for hell. U is for ugly. And G is for jail. 'Cause a thug can't spell.
Yep. I knew I heard it somewhere. I just didn't know.
No, we love Tracy trying to keep the memory alive. But on a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, that'll be 2026. No, wait, 2027. And so 5 years from now, I intend to see myself on television. Whether it's for, ideally, it'd be for AEW. But there's a lot of avenues, and then the wrestling business is always changing. So I don't know who will get a TV deal, who won't. But I have given myself 5 years from the start, from my debut, 5 years from then, to at least make it on AEW Dark. Because in my head, if Daniel Garcia and Lee Moriarty can go from debut to contract in 5 years, then so can I. So in 5 years' time, I expect to be on television, or at the very least with a major company, whether it be AEW, whether it be New Japan Pro Wrestling, or even AAA in Mexico. I have that goal for myself.
Alright. And what's a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what Cosmo Orion is all about?
So I want to say the match I had with Jimo Kaminari from I think it was August or July or August, and then the match I had with Paradox from the first round of Battle on Star Mountain. Those two were the one of the more recent matches I've had, but unfortunately they are not out on YouTube. So as of this recording, as of this podcast, they're not on YouTube. But hopefully later down the line they'll get released into the general public onto YouTube or onto somewhere else. But for a match that you can see right now, I highly recommend watching my match with Marty Snow from January of 2022. It was our fourth match in our series, and it was for the PWL World Championship. And then I'd also recommend a PWL World Title defense I had against Bushido Kid. Bushido Kid and I, stylistically, very, very similar. We both have, I guess, like the same influences in wrestling, specifically Japanese wrestling. We both had the same influences, and we both derived our style from the same wrestlers. And so that ended up being a really good match. So I'd recommend watching me versus Marty Snow and me versus Bushido Kid.
And of course, I'll put those two matches in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox for anybody that hasn't seen it, wants to see it, wants to re-see it after this interview. Now, since we're nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Kenny Omega.
Worst wrestler.
The worst wrestler?
Yes.
Oh my god, I feel like I had an answer for this like recently. Oh god. The worst wrestler of all time, I'm gonna go myself.
No.
No.
You can't say yourself.
No.
Well, I already did, so.
Scooter, give him the default.
You have chosen Eva Marie.
Man, that feels like it's too easy of a target.
Yeah.
Like everybody shits on Eva Marie.
We know. That's why we choose her.
You know what? It's actually, like, in reality, it's Goldberg. Goldberg is the worst ever.
Alright, I will definitely accept that answer. Your main event in WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
AJ Styles.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Ooh, man. It has to be another wrestler's entrance music?
No, you could come out to anything.
I can come out to anything?
I mean, we had people come out wanting to come out to Barbie Girl and Like a Prayer. So yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and steal Matt Tremont's entrance music, which is basically it's "Separate Ways" by Journey.
Oh, sweet. Alright. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is
Dead.
We also would have accepted is quite good on toast.
Is it though? Again, the whole like flavor thing. I don't think it tastes nice.
I think that you need to have a cooking show is what this is leading to. Finish the squash, fruit or vegetable?
Squash, fruit or vegetable?
Yes,
It's I believe it's a fruit because it has seeds.
that is correct. New Japan wrestler Tai Chi, his reindeer gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for reindeer?
It really depends on whether you can pull it off or not. I've seen a lot of Japanese wrestlers wrestle in thongs. Don't ask why, but you know DDT's a hell of a promotion. But they can pull it off. So I'd say if you can pull it off, you can straight up wrestle in a thong, no questions asked.
Alright. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
I don't think so.
And that is the correct answer. And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with us, Cosmo.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Once again, where could we find you on social media and your merchandise?
On social media, I am at the Cosmo Orion on Instagram and Twitter. You can find my YouTube channel. Just look up Cosmo Orion. Look for my logo, and then I'll have full matches, the captain's vlog series, and some highlight reels. And for merchandise, you can go to prowrestlingtees.com/Cosmo Orion.
And you don't even need to type that into your Google machine. Simply go into the description of the video below or on YouTube and Castbox. All of those links will be there. Simply click the link, a new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You've been listening to him for just under an hour and a half. Buy it damn short. Of course, if you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, but on YouTube and Castbox. Join us next Wednesday, possibly Tuesday as well, for another incredible interview. Of course, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy Player One Coffee. Um, Follow us on Twitter at Wrestling with E for news on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, etc., etc., and on Twitter, on Instagram at Wrestling with E as well. You can follow me at JamesJ993. You can follow Kaliko at I am Kaliko, and where can we find Scooter?
As always, find me on Twitter at ScooterDust. Find me, James and Ryan Dust, hosting the Remix on YouTube. A premium audio companion experience for all your alternate commentary needs for WWE Premium Live events. The next time we come to you, October the 8th, Extreme Rules, unless I've totally misjudged
No,
the published date
it's
of
a
this
couple days.
broadcast. All right. And of course, starting October 11th, you can catch me live on Twitch as I indulge in my first ever Dungeons and Dragons campaign, along with Rico Constantino Jr. and the rest of the Smoking Dragons clan, twitch.tv/Smoking Dragons.
Now, Cosmo, when I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment.
All right.
For always special guest Cosmo Orion, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.